So before I start, I want to put a quick plug in. For anyone who doesn't know, there's a Green Mountain Comedy Festival next week, and Bianca Yu, who you just saw, will be doing a show next Friday at the only comedy club in the whole state. Pretty easy to find. It's called Levity in downtown Burlington, and I'm going to be doing a show on Sunday, following Sunday at the DoubleTree Hotel. So you should check that out. So I realized that I had committed to doing comedy here tonight, but kind of as I look at all of you and I remember all the parties where I stood around and listened to you assholes talk about medical stuff, my every instinct is to explain my job as an electrical engineer. But I'm not going to do that to you. So like a lot of you guys, I'm not from Vermont. I grew up in Louisiana, and I feel like growing up in that environment totally did not prepare me to be a functional adult here in Vermont, so I'm still kind of like picking up tips as I go. One thing that really messed me up, obviously winter, but one thing specifically was getting sunburnt in the winter. Like, the first time I went skiing, I had one of those stupid goggle tans where I just looked like a retarded raccoon for like 3 weeks. And I just didn't realize, it wasn't even sunny outside. It was overcast. I was like, fuck, and someone from here had to explain it to me that, like, even though it's not really sunny, you have to wear sunscreen because the sun still reflects off of all the white people. Yeah, I got that one down. And another thing in the winter was dryness. I've never lived in a place that wasn't humid. So I just wake up my first winter here in the morning, I just feel like, skin hurts. Yeah, it's like, your skin's probably dry. There's this stuff called moisturizer, you should put some on your body. And I was a little confused because having been a teenage boy at one point, I thought moisturizer was just like some second grade lubricant. I thought it was one of those like only in a pinch products, like, fix it flat. But for masturbation. But now I'm the boss of moisturizer. I got it down. Whenever I'm applying moisturizer, I always shoot for what I like to call the toaster strudel ratio of skin to skin icing, medical term. Another thing that messes me up is Vermont drivers. So we moved from California right before this, and you know what you're getting in California. You're getting aggression from everyone on the road. And Vermont's drivers, I mean, passive-aggressive kind of gets to it, but it's really, it's this strange sort of militant politeness, like kindness on the outside and just like evil, vindictive things on the inside. Like, this is the way I can explain it. So, like in California, if I was sitting in traffic and someone was trying to pull out of a place, I would have never, ever let them out. Never. Like, if you let someone out, people behind you will honk at you and be like, this fucking asshole's being nice. But in Vermont, this is the habit I've taken up. If I'm driving and someone wants to come out, I will let them out. If they don't wave to say thank you, I will follow them home and slash their tires. But I will leave a note at cookies. So I used to work with this guy who was the least energetic person I've ever known. He's just lethargic and unenthusiastic at all times. Like, he's one of these people you can tell is coming behind you because you just hear feet shuffling and sighs. You know these people who always sigh, like just existing is the most painful thing that's ever happened to them? You're just one of these guys that's just always... And one day he's like, yeah, I'm an avid skydiver, right? It seems so fucked up to me, because I think of skydiving as an extreme sport. Like, anytime someone says skydiving, I just see the last skydiving scene of Point Break. I feel like every time someone goes skydiving, Patrick Swayze and your parachute have already left the plane, and you just gotta like muster up the balls, and be like, just jump out of the bathroom. But the more I think about it, skydiving is kind of the perfect activity for a lazy person. I mean, let's break it down. You walk up 3 steps and sit down, and this amazing machine takes you miles up in the sky. And when the time is just right, you kind of just waddle over and fall out. gravity for a few minutes, and then you pull a string, and you just hang there for a few minutes. Hurts. And then at the very last second, you stand up and you're not skydiving anymore. At that point, you've moved on to the much more physically demanding sport of standing upright. So I went to Asia with my wife for the first time a few years ago. Her parents are from Korea, so she'd been there before. But it was my first time, and I'd like to share a few things I learned that people who have never been to Asia might not know. One, Asians hold hands all the time, and it is adorable. Number two, and this kind of stems from number one, because everyone's always holding hands, couples had to figure out a new way to distinguish themselves from non-couples, and the way they figured out how to do it is through matching outfits. So as if Asians have any business getting cuter already, now there are pairs of them running around in matching shirts and overalls. But by far the most interesting thing I learned over there was that I am the fattest dude in South Korea, for sure. Like, all it takes is a tiny little pooch and a double chin that only shows up in Facebook pictures, and you win. You're the fattest dude. And it really just, it made me realize how unhealthy we are in the States. You know, like, sometimes I'll think like, yeah, Americans are unhealthy, but that's not me. And it really just took me kind of stepping outside of my own little world to see things for the way they really were. Things. And I remember the exact minute it finally hit me. So we had just flown back into the States. We hadn't been here 5 minutes. I'm still inside of the international terminal at LAX, and I'm already standing in line at Burger King. And it just so happens that I see a reflection across the hall. And in the reflection, I see myself in line with all these other just sad, unhealthy Americans. And it finally hits me. I'm like, oh my God. I am so much hotter than these people. I can totally afford this. Oh my God. Supersizing. So you guys seen those HIV testing tents they have on college campuses? Because I can see all of your faces, let me make a disclaimer that I am not going to trash these. I think they provide an extremely important public service. Actually, one of my friends in college found out that he was HIV positive at one of these things. Here's the deal, though. He was not HIV positive. He just thought he was for 3 days. That's pretty terrible. But I'm glad some of you found that joke funny. It took him he didn't get that joke for like 3 years. Dude, it's pretty classic misdirect. It is. Awesome. But here's my point. What happened was apparently one of the lab techs fucked up and either checked the wrong box. I hope it wasn't we swapped the wrong samples. That would be terrible. But the thing I want to say, shouldn't you have to prove something to society, or at least the medical community, before you can tell someone they have HIV? Like, this is a fucking summer intern. Like, I mean, I guess technically anyone can tell someone they have HIV. Like, the pizza guy can tell you have HIV. But you're not going to believe him unless you happen to be fucking the pizza guy. And I don't think that's as popular as porn led me to believe. All I'm saying is the summer intern in the lab is the weakest link in the bad news chain. Kind of putting all our eggs in one basket. Honest. So people name their kids weird shit these days, am I right? And I get it. It makes sense. People are having kids older, and that seemed logical to me. Like, by the time you're 30 years old, you already know someone with every common name who's a total douchebag. Like, oh, should we go with Keith? No, remember that fucking guy at work who always eats a sandwich behind me? That asshole every time I look at my child? No way. Fuck it, let's call him Elbow. We're gonna call it son Elbow. So I did turn 30 last year though, and I'm getting to the age where I'm starting to miss college. You know, I'm never gonna get to be that selfish again all the time. That's fine, that's done. But college was a really great time, you know. It's when we made some of the best friendships. And then after college ended, these friends moved away, and you start to resent them. Does this happen to anyone else? You know why I'm starting to resent my friends? Because every fucking month, I get their goddamn wedding invitations in the mail. These square envelopes make me cringe. Let's call it what it is. That's a bill written in calligraphy. You're going to be expected to spend $1,000 on a plane flight and a president, and oh, you have to take a day off work because I got a great deal on my menu for Friday. Oh my God. So, for anyone who's still in college, I think it's time that we start to evaluate the monetary. We need to put a number on our friendship. That's what I'm getting at here. Like, is it really worth $1,000 to be able to keep up with your chemistry lab partner's Facebook feed for the rest of your life? Chris really likes the new Adele song. Really, motherfucker? I bought you a bread maker, dude. Is that what you're giving me? Step it up, dude. Come on. But, you know, I guess I'm kind of on the dark side too because I got married in the past few years. And weddings are fun. Weddings are a good time. Once you've paid all the money, kiss that goodbye. The receptions are always fun, clearly, because it's just booze and dancing. But sometimes the ceremonies are even fun. I've been to a lot recently, and I want to tell you guys about my favorite variety of wedding, and that is when atheist kids get married on their Christian parents' dime. Those are great. Because you can tell the couple didn't want to put Jesus on the guest list, but the parents are like, oh, he's our friend. He's going to be there. You just wait. And then Jesus shows up to the ceremony. He's a bit of a handful. Like the priest starts talking about the couple for 2 minutes, and Jesus is like, nope. See where you're standing? Say some stuff about me. Talk about me and my dad for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And the priest totally does, and the couple's just looking at each other like, nobody said this was going to happen. And it's like this weird theater piece where the bride and groom are pretending to be devout members of whatever religion the oldest person in the bloodline is. Like you can tell they remember the melodies to the hymns, but they don't know any of the words, so they're just like having a conversation with each other through it. Like, did you see this last episode of Game of Thrones? It is the fucking man. But just imagine how awesome it's going to be when Generation X is like 80 years old. And they're the atheist grandparents, and their rebellious Christian grandkids want to get married. And they're going to have to explain to all their friends, like, I really want to get married in the church, but my grandma would have freaked out. And then the atheist grandparents can just make up rituals. Be like, oh, hold up, everybody. It is a long-standing atheist tradition that the bride and groom shotgun a PBR before we go into the courthouse. The PBR represents marriage. It is okay given the perfect conditions, but its popularity is still a bit of a mystery. And chugging it represents your commitment to stick it out, no matter what your instincts and all of your senses are telling you. How about you guys? That's a creepy grandpa. So I want to bust out a little SeaWorld news on you guys. So apparently, Silicone the whale has killed another one of his trainers. Super sad. Super sad, as well as kind of expected behavior for an animal called a fucking killer whale. Really? Killer whale kills? Are we, as a society, prepared to call this news? Breaking out of SeaWorld today. Nature. And you gotta give it to the people who named killer whales, because there was like 100 little cutesy names they could have called them. They could have called them a tuxedo whale, or salt and pepper whale. But no, they called it a killer whale because they want you to know right away that it's really good at murdering shit. It's like the trainers just don't get it, you know? Like, you see them in an interview the day after something like this happens, and they're like, I don't know what happened. I mean, Silicone's got such a big heart, I think he's just a little misunderstood. Really misunderstood? Because I feel like I understood what he was going for perfectly when he tore the top half of your friend Gary from the bottom half and just fucked the bottom half while he stared into Gary's dying eyes. I read that message loud and clear. And that's the kind of message, like, killer whale, what the fuck? You don't swim with the killer whale. You would never overlook that kind of information in another setting. Like if you were a girl at a bar and a guy came up to you, he's like, hey, what's your name? Melissa. Hey, Melissa, my name's Date Rape Jenkins. Oh, no! You don't swim with a killer whale, and you don't let date rape by Adrian. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for coming out.